Welcome. This is the Enlightenment Show, and I'm your host, Laurie Schoenfeld. This is where Chicken Soup for the Soul meets the artist way with Nancy Drew. Our guest today is May Cobb, author of A Likeable Woman. We're going to be chatting with her today all about her new release and something she's learned from her past that changed her perspective. Hello, May.
Hey, Lori, thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to hang out with you.
I am so pumped, and it's an absolute delight to have you here joining us today. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm just like, yay.
All around happy energy on both ends for sure that we're here and we get to talk about A Likeable Woman. Bravo, loved it. So let's just dive in. And can you share with our listeners and viewers what A Likeable Woman is all about?
Yeah, so A Likeable Woman follows Kira, who's a 30-something woman who fled her tiny East Texas town decades ago. And she's been living in LA, but her life is kind of frozen. She's an artist, but she's just working a day job she hates, and she can't seem to pick up the paintbrush. She fled her hometown in the wake of her provocative mother's mysterious death, which everyone told her was a suicide, but she never believed it. She was best friends with her mom. They made art together. She just never bought into it. So she left. Now she's beckoned back home because a frenemy is having a vow renewal party. And her grandmother keeps sending these insistent texts that you must come back. I've got something of your mom's, something she was keeping in secret. And I think you're right about the way she died.
I love so much the finding out the pieces of something you thought that you knew and then finding something new from the past that completely changes your entire outlook. What got you started in writing the idea for this story?
Really, it was kind of weird. My family and I, long story short, had moved out to California during the pandemic, and it didn't work out. And we were, and on the drive home, which is like a 3-day drive or whatever through the desert back to Texas where we live, I was like, oh my God, I was in my own personal writing desert. Like, what? I'm under contract. I've got to come up with another book idea. And actually, like, as we pulled into our little Airbnb in New Mexico, Sadie's voice, the mom's voice, because, as you know, it's a book within a book, came to me. And I was able to go in there and kind of just start writing whatever she was saying to me down. And I was so happy to have, something to go on.
Mm-hmm. I love how you mentioned the book within a book because it felt like it's multiple POV, but it did feel very much like a book within a book, like you're getting a glimpse of journal entries kind of to build onto the story.
Yes. Yeah. That was one thing I love, like, stories that have different pieces to them like that. And so I was kind of thinking of that book, The Silent Patient, because you have those like diary entries from Alicia, who, is into, like, she's like, from the tragedy, like selective mutism, and she's not speaking and telling what happened, but you get like these clues. And I loved that tension. And so I like the idea of having someone who's no longer here and then getting to learn about them through like this sort of, it's really more of a diary than a book, because that's how she's kind of, it's like her space to vent, because she's in an abusive marriage, and, she's like different stuff's going on in her life. So, and that's what was, for the listeners, that's what the grandmother gives to Kira when she comes home.
Mm-hmm. Was Sadie the character that you first explored then out of all of your characters?
Yeah, she really was. Like, I think I wrote like the first 20 pages. It was the first couple of scenes all from her point of view. And then I thought, I like her voice. I like her a lot, but I don't think this is the main character. And then sort of like the rest of it just sort of fell into place. And I wish I could remember all the details, but man, that was in the grips of the shutdown. And I don't even know. I blacked out a lot.
But you still got through it. So we got to give you kudos through that, because there were blackouts, I think, for all of us during that time period of like, what is this? So, but you wrote the book.
Thank you. Thank you. It was, I literally wept when I typed the end. I mean, both because like Sadie's based a lot on my mom. So it's like my most emotional thriller to date, but also I was so relieved that I was able to finish and meet my deadline. It's like,
Mhm. That moment of just release, right? When you push
yes,
the end and send.
yeah, utter release and relief and just,
Was there a moment that surprised you when you were writing this plot that you can share?
yeah, I think the biggest surprise came one night when I do a lot of like talking to my long suffering husband about plots. So once the kiddo's down, I'll bounce some stuff off of him. And he still hasn't read the book, but mainly because he had to like have me narrate it to him as I was writing it. But I was telling him, okay, I'm getting to the climax and I don't want to give anything away. But when I sprung it on him, he said, yeah, that's great. That's not enough. Like,
Mm.
and then he's kind of a pacer. So he's like pacing around our house thinking, and then he was like, okay, what if this and that? And I was like, wow, okay, yes. And it was just a little turn of the screw that added a lot for me personally to the story. So that was the biggest surprise.
Hmm. That's a power team, to be able to talk with your partner and be able to bounce off ideas like that.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he probably one day we should probably co-write a book together because he really is extremely good at a lot of this stuff. And God bless him for listening to not only plotting woes but publishing woes and everything like. And he's wonderful.
Your character, Sadie, she releases steam by going on bike rides. What is something that you do to release frustration and anger?
Wow, I love this question. I actually go on walks. Not as often as I should, but that helps me. Is I love to take like not fast walks. I'm not like a go-getter, but nobody get too excited. But I love to walk in nature. I love to walk. That kind of seems to calm me down. So
Hmm. What do you enjoy most about being in nature?
I think just like being able to both escape my own mind for a second and then also tune into it in a different way and not be just at my desk on social media, which I love. Looking at my Amazon ranking, whatever, whatever hell that us writers put ourselves through. I like having that break from the house.
That separation that needed. Like, leave the space right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I really appreciated, May, that you have a character within your book that has autism. Where did you draw from to bring that conversation and character into your book?
Yeah, so my son has autism and he's on the more, like moderate to severe end of the spectrum. And he's come a long way. It's still incredibly challenging. And I so appreciate that there's like more representation of autism in the media and in books and film. But I do feel like there's sort of still a blank space when it comes to sort of the more severe ends. And that's one reason I'm so excited about Angie Kim's latest book, Happiness Falls, because it does. I think one of the main characters is nonverbal autistic kid, and like that's just so great. I think we need more of that. So yeah, that's where that came from.
Mhm. What do you think that people most often misunderstand about autism?
Yeah, and I think like I don't want to sound like I'm on a high horse because if you're not in the situation, chances are you're not going to understand it. I don't understand a lot about other, you know, things that I haven't had to deal with. So I think sometimes people just assume that it's more like the higher end, like Asperger's, or there might be personality quirks or, other challenges. But I think sometimes, like, especially where my son is concerned, people don't understand the grave challenges that are faced, and also equally don't understand the brilliance that's contained within these beautiful humans that they don't maybe express in ways that the rest of the world can see and pick up on, but that take my breath away on a daily basis, because I'm like, wow, there's a brilliant mind at work there, and soul that knows things that I don't even know. So yeah. And I think it's also in many ways can sometimes be an invisible disability, because I think, yeah, I could go on and on. I'll just leave it at that.
I really like that you put, though, that I was ready for you to go on and on, May, with the invisible disability, because there's a lot of conversations where we don't talk about that either.
Yeah. I mean, that was a little more challenging when he was little, because in many ways he looks and is acting like a completely a neurotypical kid. And so when he would have meltdowns and outbursts, then they look to the parents and say, he's being a brat, when it's like, no, that's not what's going on at all. Now that he's older, like I think most people can tell that he's special needs, just from the way he is. So, but yeah, and so it was very meaningful. Like, I remember one day in Target, and he was 3, and I was by myself with him, and I literally couldn't get him, because he's very like willful, Leo, strong-willed. Even at 3, he wouldn't let me get him buckled back in like the cart or whatever, and he was in meltdown mode, and this like angel of a woman appeared, and she was like, because I was getting like so many stares, from people, and she appeared and was like, my son's 16, he's autistic, let me help you, I got this. And she got him, and I don't know what I would have done without her, because and so that kind of stuff is like, faith in humanity restored.
Yes. Bless people that understand and have been in that experience, that just come in with love and compassion in those moments.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your characters, when you're writing a book, we get so close to our characters, like a friendship. What is one quality that you love most about each of your main characters? We'll start with Kira.
That's a great question. I think for Kira, I love most probably her love for her mom. Like, I think that's so cool that even when she was a teenager, like, she was still super tight and in awe of her mother. She didn't go through that sort of like monster phase. And for Sadie, I just love that she was so, in many ways, because of the time in which she was, coming of age, she didn't live up to her fullest potential. But then as she was getting older, she recognized she needed to stay true to herself and was fighting for it, desperately. So her conviction.
Mm-hmm. I really love Jack too, I have to tell you. There were moments where I was kind of in between on Jack, but
yeah.
Has that been a normal conversation you hear? Do you hear that often about Jack, or is it kind of one side or another, or split?
I think most people that I've heard from do like him, and they were like, "Ooh, he's so like hot and charismatic," and da da da. And but then there's that other complex side to him that
Yes. How has the writing community supported you through your author journey?
Oh my gosh, Lori, it's been really tremendous. I mean, just from my debut, like 5 years ago till now, there's something like, I think also I don't know, I've just found writers to be extremely supportive. And like specifically for the release of A Likeable Woman, I was on a little mini tour, and I couldn't believe the way like my Instagram feed blew up that day with people posting about the book. And some of the authors, like, I'm sort of friends with, kind of, but like would never in a million years dream that they would post about it. And they did. And I was like on the verge of tears all day from the outpouring. I honestly couldn't believe it. And it took me like 3 days to even catch up with the notifications. So writers are amazing.
Yes, yes, they are. And that includes you, May, because you're a huge encouragement in the community as well.
Thank
So
you. Same to you, Lori, for sure. Like 1,000 times.
thank you.
Yeah.
What's something from your past that you've learned about that changed your perspective, May?
Gosh, that's like such a great and difficult question. uh, I would say, all right, well, the first book I set out to write is nonfiction, and I'm still working on that book. And I think I started when I was like in my mid 20s, and now I'm almost 50. So a long time, a long journey. Uh, and I think it seemed back then that writing a book was so daunting and almost impossible, and that I absolutely had no business doing it. And so now that I've written some, I'm like, that's changed, where I know, thank goodness, that I can type the end and I'm capable. And I don't know if that's that interesting of an answer, but that is, but now that I am older, I'm kind of glad I didn't write that book, because it is going to be my most sort of serious, ambitious book, and I want to get it right. And now I get to write like, ooh, I'm an old crone, and I get to write about that young starry-eyed girl. Instead of being the starry-eyed girl and writing it, I get to have like this distance. Anyway, I'm working all this out with you today.
I love that answer though, May, because it is interesting, I think, how certain pieces of writing and novels appear at a very specific time for a very specific reason.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm always grateful for when this always seems to happen. Like if I'm stuck in a book or stuck on a piece or whatever, and I pick up a book, it always seems to be like the answer that I need right there for whatever I'm trying to puzzle out with my own work. And I'm like, why is this always like this miracle?
It's like, I kind of feel like sometimes when writing, it's like you're creative and you're like moving, but you're also like, it's therapy too. You're moving through your own stuff while
Yeah.
you're creating a whole new world and characters. So it's healing too.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally agree. It is, I mean, it is for me. Like it's very personal and cathartic and all those things.
Mm-hmm. We're going to take it to the inner child question segment. Are you ready, May?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. When you were a kid, who were some of your best friends?
Okay. So I'm very fortunate because I met my best friend when we were 3 years old, and we're still best friends to this day. Amy is her name, and we grew up around the corner from each other. And then I have two sisters, and they're my best friends too. And so is my mom. So it was like the four of us, like besties for life.
I am soaking that in because you don't hear that often. Age 3 and you're still friends. I'm sure you guys could have a story in you too.
Oh, for sure.
Right together.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. She's like, we're like, separated at birth, Siamese twins. We're very tight. So.
Mm-hmm. As a teenager, what concert t-shirt would you be wearing?
You two, Octoon Baby or REM Green.
Yes.
Showing my age here.
Hey, those are good classics.
Yeah, they are.
Mhm.
I stand beside those.
Everything else is coming back, May. I mean, honestly, we're in sync is right around the corner again. So like your music's coming back. Like everything will just full circle it, I think.
True.
Third question. What is the oddest food combo that you've liked and tried or you've just tried?
Oh my gosh. Combo. Oh, let's see. I'm stumped. I'm stumped. I'm sorry. I'm like the most voracious eater you'll ever meet, and I know that there's probably something I could dredge up, and I'm blanking.
What's your favorite thing to eat? We'll go there.
I love macaroni and cheese. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, are we tossing it up with anything or just classic, like don't touch it, it's good as it is?
I love the stuff out of the box, but but now I'm like gluten free. So now I would love to make my own with my special pasta, and I love to add like goat cheese to it and maybe
Ooh.
some crushed red pepper. But I don't get too crazy. Like I just like yeah,
The comfort mac and cheese.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Why mess with it when it's already working?
yeah, yeah. You get it.
I do. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The
Yeah,
end. Mac
yeah.
and cheese. Yep. Before we end today, May, can you share with our listeners and viewers what living a creatively abundant life means to you?
Yeah, I think going back to sort of like tapping into the artist way, which was like my Bible when I started. Yes. Oh my gosh. Um, I am my happiest really when I'm not focused on publishing, when I can just feel like I'm in my old rental house, I'm walking around my old neighborhood, I sit at my desk for 30 minutes, I set the timer, I write, I meditate. I like being in that flow state where I feel like the characters are talking to me, the story's alive, and that's to me there's nothing better or more of an abundant feeling than that.
Mm-hmm. I read The Artist Way. I've read it 3 times at different stages in my life. It's by Julia Cameron. I would love to hear your take on how that supported you as well.
Gosh, yeah. So going back to the Sadie character, she's based on my mom, but then also another one of my dear friends who's no longer with us. And she was a painter, and she's the one that first gave me that book. And I think the most powerful thing as like a young 20 something was the journaling part where you're writing your unconscious thoughts down every day. So I did that for a long time to try to get out of my own way so I could actually create. So I don't remember what that part of the book is called, but to me that was the most like vital tool at that moment.
The morning pages.
Yes, thank you. I mean, we're going back 25 years, but the morning pages, yeah.
Those were definitely powerful because then you start finding your voice too. I felt
Yeah.
I found my voice more when I was doing morning pages.
Yeah, yeah. I probably should go back to that.
Hence the third time I'm like, oh, we're getting in some ruts here. It might be time to go back again.
Yeah. I haven't done that in a long time, really, because it's so like, okay, I've got childcare, I'm gonna write, but I might have to go do that like later today, like tonight when the kid's asleep. Evening pages.
Evening pages, yes. I'm usually an afternoon evening girl anyway. So yes, high five to the evening.
Yeah, I'm a morning writer, but the evening sometimes I'll catch that second wind when I should be asleep, and then I'm like, I'm going with it.
Yep. Where can our listeners and viewers find you if they have any questions for you after the show and would like to purchase a Likeable Woman?
Yeah, so probably the best place is my website, which is www.maycobb.com. And then I'm also probably most active and distracted on Instagram. And at May, MAI underscore Cobb, COBB. So at May underscore Cobb.
We will put those in the link below as well, so it's easy access for May. I really love how you said you're active and also distracted, May, because amen.
I have to block myself out sometimes. I just did it to get through edits, and I might have to do it again because I have no discipline. I'm talk about an inner child. Like,
I'll just check something for half a second, 45 minutes later. Yes, I hear you.
yeah. I mean, it's nice. You don't feel like you're all alone, but then it's like, oh my God, what?
Where'd the time go?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with us today, May.
Thank you. I had a blast, Lori. Mwah. I'll see you around.
Absolutely. And thank you for all of those who've joined us live and will join us on the replay. We're so grateful to have you here today. Remember, as you go about the rest of your week, to find the things that are working for you. You are the creator of your own story. What steps will you take next? Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Thank you, May.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Lori.